Mr. Anthony, when did you first find out your daughter was pregnant?
I believe it was sometime in May or June of 2005.
So she was 7 months pregnant when you first found out?
6, 7 months. It could have been right around that time, yes.
Do you recall going to a wedding that was Cindy's brother's wedding?
I went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, but I did not attend the wedding.
Were you ever confronted by Rick, her brother, about Casey's pregnancy?
We had a brief discussion about it, but I told Rick it was none of his concern, none of his business. Whatever was going on with Casey would be handled through Cindy and I. We're there for Casey. You don't have to worry about it.
So is it your testimony today that you knew she was pregnant and you just didn't want him to know, or you didn't know she was pregnant at the time?
I didn't have an exact knowledge of the time that she was, when I found out that she was pregnant, I didn't have that exact knowledge at that time. Did I have a feeling? Possibly, yes, no. But no, I mean, I did see a change physically in Casey, but nothing that I know that Cindy and I weren't going to, help her with or attend to.
So the photograph that you saw here today, you don't believe?
Reference to an item that's not
Yes.
Yes.
Show you what is marked confesses to their name.
Could I ask the counsel on display items to the jury that aren't in evidence?
Mr. Baez, if it's not in evidence, you may.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of Casey when you went to the wedding?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I did not attend the wedding. I was there, but I didn't go to the wedding that day. But as far as that being Casey and Cindy together, yes.
Judge, unless there's any objection, I'd like to move Defense Exhibit A into evidence.
Yes, Your Honor. Object to counsel moving that to evidence.
Sustain.
We'll call him back for that.
Cross the sidebar.
So we can all be clear, Mr. Anthony. Did you know your daughter was pregnant the day the photograph was taken?
Not exactly. I mean, I had a feeling that she was, but then again, like I've stated, until we knew for sure, until we could take her in for some kind of test or something like that.
So the answer is no?
Yeah, the answer is no. I mean, does it look like it at that point, that photograph? Yeah, possibly.
I didn't ask you that. I just asked you, did you know if your daughter was pregnant the day that photograph was taken? Your answer is no?
No, not exactly no.
And you were a father of two.
Yes.
And you were a father of two when that photo was taken.
Yes.
And is it your idea that your daughter had a beer belly?
I think the term was considered at one point maybe with retaining water or something like that. It's possible. I mean, I didn't believe that my daughter could be going to have a child right at that time, but stuff happens. I mean, it's...
Did anyone know that Casey was pregnant when that photograph was taken? Anyone outside?
Sustain.
Tell anyone at that time that Casey was pregnant?
No, not at that time. I did not know.
And when you were confronted with her pregnancy, you didn't want to talk about it, did you?
The first time I heard about Casey expecting a child is when Cindy and Casey came back to our house, and we sat down on the couch together, or very close to the proximity of our couch in our house. And Casey and Cindy told me that they have something that they wanted to tell me about.
And you didn't have a clue that Casey was pregnant up until that moment?
Like I said, maybe a feeling or an intuition to a point, but When they told me, I was elated. I was excited.
You have no problems with your vision, do you, sir?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay. And was there an explanation given by your daughter lived with you, did she not?
Yes,
Every day.
every day.
And you saw her every day.
Pretty much so. I'd say probably 99% of the time I would see her, yes.
And 6 months prior to that photograph being taken, did you see her retaining water then?
Well, I really don't believe that you see a person or a woman. Each woman is made up differently. Each woman is going to show a pregnancy
My
differently.
question to you, sir, is 6 months prior to the photograph being taken, did you see your daughter retaining water then?
6 months? No, did not.
Have you, prior to Casey being pregnant, had you ever seen her retaining water prior to that?
When Casey was younger, I know she put on weight here and there when she was involved with athletics and things like that. Casey was a very athletic young lady growing up.
And when she was younger and putting on weight due to being in athletics, did the weight gain in her stomach or elsewhere?
Stomach, it could be in her hindsight or her butt. Some people would consider it could be in her shoulders, and she would work out and it would sort of go away. She was an avid runner.
So as she was an avid runner, she would gain a belly.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying through her activity, if she'd be running as much or being as active, I think anyone is going to put on weight with inactivity.
Now, you mentioned that you were in the delivery room. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you assisted in the delivery?
No, I did not assist. I was there and observed my granddaughter being delivered.
And you didn't know who the father was up until that day?
No, I did not. Did not know that.
You didn't ask?
Not up to that point I didn't, because when I found out that I was going to be a grandfather, Casey was expecting a child, and we went through the different tests, and we went.
My question to you, sir, is did you ask?
I think it was shortly thereafter, or right around, maybe just before she had delivery. I'm not sure of the exact time when I finally did ask. And I remember a name of Baker was brought up.
So the answer is yes, you did ask.
Yes.
Now, how soon after finding out that your only daughter is pregnant did you ask? Who's the father?
I don't know. It could have been, like I said, just prior to her delivering Kaylee.
So
I'm
now
not really sure. I don't have an exact timetable. You're asking me to be specific.
Just a second. Please let the witness finish answering the question before there's another question.
Yes, sir.
Continue.
Are you finished, sir?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Now, after you find out your daughter's going to be giving birth to your first grandchild, how long after did she give birth?
Well, if I just found out in May or June, we had Kaylee was delivered in August, so it was over 2 to 3 months. You know, give or take a few weeks.
So in the entire 2 months, you never stopped your daughter and asked her, who is the father of this child?
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustain.
You didn't ask her up until just before the child was born.
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustain.
The day after, or the day you were confronted with this news, did you hold a party or anything like that?
No, just
Give a baby shower?
Your Honor, if I can counsel the witness again.
Mr. Anthony, did you answer the question, sir?
the day that I found out that I was going to be a grandfather, when I first got the news of Casey's pregnancy, and there was only Cindy, Casey, and I at our house.
Now, you testified under direct examination that you thought your daughter was working. Did you not?
Yes.
Do you recall speaking to the FBI on July 31st of 2008, July 30th.
I had spoken to the FBI, the Sheriff's Department, numerous agents, a couple different agencies within a 2 or 3 week period.
And when you spoke to the FBI, did you make the statement, the irresponsibility, because I've known her,
Just a second.
Sure.
Sustain, rephrase your question.
Yes, I'll rephrase the question, Judge. On July 30th of 2008, do you recall speaking to an agent, Scott Boland, and an agent McEllier?
If that was the date that you have written down, that's probably the date that I did. I can't be specific on a timetable because I don't have information in front of me, but I'm sure that probably was
Page
the date.
35, counsel, lines 1 through 4. Did you make the statement, the irresponsibility, because I've known her?
Just a second.
I don't believe it is, Judge.
You have a line also selected.
Lines 1 through 4.
When you give the line and page, give counsel an opportunity to find the line.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next question.
Did you make the statement, the irresponsibility, because I've known her, I've had a feeling for the last 2 years my daughter has not worked? Did you make that statement, Mr. Anthony?
I did. I did.
So was the statement you made under direct examination to this jury the truth, or was it to the FBI the truth?
Objection, improper cross-examination. I further argument.
Approach.
Now, Mr. Anthony, you believed your daughter was working.
Yes, I believe Casey was working. Yes.
And every 2 weeks, did she come home with a paycheck?
No, I never really saw a paycheck from her because if she had a direct deposit or however she handled her finances, that was up to her.
What did you see your daughter spending her paycheck on?
Pardon me?
What did you see your daughter spending her paycheck on?
Well, hopefully for necessities for her daughter, gas for her car, insurance to insure that car. I mean, we were very, very good about helping Casey out in any way we possibly could if she was struggling financially or anything like that at all. I mean, we just wanted to make sure she was responsible for herself and her child.
And since you were wanting to find out that she was responsible for her child, when did you ask to meet the nanny?
I never asked to meet a nanny. I never did.
And did the nanny ever call the house?
Not that I am ever aware of. No.
Did you ever hear the nanny speaking to Casey on the phone?
No.
And did you ever see photographs of the nanny?
No.
Did you ever see anything written describing a phone number or anything like that? Any information about the nanny?
No, just whatever Casey told us about that she had someone that was helping take care of Kaylee when her mother and I weren't available to.
And every day she would get up, get dressed, and go to work and drop Kaylee off with the nanny.
That's what we were told she was doing. I mean, I had no reason really at too much of at any point not to disbelieve or believe my daughter. I mean, she was taking care of her child the best way she possibly could.
Is that a yes?
Well, I think you got an open-ended question there to a point, and I'm trying to answer it the best way I possibly can. I mean, did I ever know that she was dropping Kaylee off every time, sir? That's what you're sort of asking me. I don't know. I was hoping she was taking her to someone she described or told us was a nanny.
My question to you, sir, is did she get dressed and go to work and leave the child with a nanny?